Hello there, and welcome to the Stay Off My Lawn podcast, where we'll have a little fun, lots of laughs, and discussions on the common sense that needs to be applied to a lot of today's world news issues. And now, the disclaimer. Stay Off My Lawn is not intended as legal, medical, or financial advice. Void where prohibited. No purchase necessary to win. Open to legal U.S. residents 18 or older in the contiguous 48 states. Any resemblance to anyone living or deceased is purely coincidental. Actual price may vary. Only use as directed. Not a member of FDIC. And now, here are your hosts, Mike and Richard.
All right, welcome to this week's episode of Stay Off My Lawn. It is June 2nd. And that might be a surprise to some, in 2026, and this is episode 165. We're actually recording this a couple days ahead of time. It's going to be released on June 2nd, so that's why I said it's June 2nd. And that's probably a surprise to our lovely guest this week, Charmaine Davies, one of my favorite people on the planet, believe it or not. Not just in the UK. She's a wonderful person. So.
The feeling's mutual.
Well, thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
Yeah. Richard is having a hard time. He's really in rough shape right now. He's in Hawaii, so unable to join us.
I bet he's having a dreadful, dreadful time.
It's got to be awful. It's got to be awful. I mean, I've had bunions before, and it's probably something like that. You know, it's probably something ugly. Anyway, so we are, it's been raining for like over a week here, almost every day. I think it's been about 10 days now. It's barely gotten in the 80s. I know the weather over there is quite different than it is here.
That's incredible to hear that, because the weather here has been extraordinarily hot. And people go, oh, it's not the same in England. No, it is. Believe me, I used to live in Texas. I know exactly what I'm talking about. I mean, we don't have air conditioning. That's the problem here. So we are literally boiling to death. However, that's not to say it's been, it's May. We're in May, June. Oh, they'll be broadcast in June.
At the time of this recording, it's May, yes.
Yeah. But it's very seasonal to be this hot in May. In England, it's been extraordinarily hot. Even I've seen Americans. I've got an American friend staying with me from California, and she came out in a heat rash, and she's like, "What's going on?"
That's incredible.
I said, "Well, you can break the myth that England, and it's always cold, because when it's hot, it's hot."
Yeah. And like you said, I think the lack of air conditioning seems like the part that really makes everything much more distasteful, I guess, you know.
Yeah, you can find the odd shop with air conditioning, and you sort of plan your rest of the day around that shop, but you just stay in it.
Yeah.
I live minutes from the beach, so there has been a tiny bit of a breeze. But if you're in central London or somewhere like that, it's just horrendous.
Florida's like that too. If you get like in Orlando in the center of the state, there's like no breeze at all. At least when you're on the coast, if you're in Tampa or if you're in Daytona or Miami, there's always that breeze a little bit. Even if it's a warm breeze, at least the air is moving.
Well, at the moment, it's been a bit cloudy today, so the temperature has dropped quite a bit, but it's still that mugginess in the air, like Houston used to be.
Sure. Oh yeah, you know, I was just in Houston a couple of weeks ago. I meant to tell you about that. My brother-in-law lives down there, so we went down to visit him, and it was already that was in early May, and it was already 90 degrees, about 80% humidity.
So I'm putting that face for. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah, it's not very pleasant at all. Now, your friend in California, is she from Southern California or is she from San Francisco? Where?
I think she's from Hollywood.
Okay, yeah, that's near Los Angeles. I've got some friends there, and they say that they don't have air conditioning. So I mean,
really?
Yeah. So when they get those Santa Ana winds and it gets really, really hot, there's a lot of people that don't have air conditioning. But
wow.
I lived in the South, except for do what?
I've got lots of fans scattered around, and so I've got a fan by my bed and that, and so. But you know, I've learned little tips not to open your curtains. You know, when the blazing sun, just keep the curtains so you keep the room cool. So I'm trying to educate a lot of my friends. I learned when I lived in Texas, so I didn't sort of burn to death.
Oh yeah. At least it's a little drier in Arlington, though, because you're up by Dallas in that point. But I mean, at Houston, it's just like the air just doesn't seem to move. You're far enough away from the coast, and it's just, it's awful.
No, but I'm not going to complain because it's going to be raining again in England at any minute, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So make the most of it. I've got a bit of a healthy glow for once.
You do. I like it. Every year you get a nice tan because you're down by Brighton, right? I mean, it's very, you get, it seems like you get a lot of sun. Your sunsets are beautiful. And we've talked about that before.
Oh, that's the thing. I'm very fortunate where I live. The sunsets are just phenomenal. Well, I don't think it's going to be so good to. I'm looking out the window. People might like, what's she looking at? I'm looking out my window. I don't think it's amazingly pretty tonight because it's quite misty.
Yeah.
But no, the sunsets are phenomenal here. Phenomenal. And it beats watching the telly, You're like,
Oh,
wow,
of
how
course.
beautiful it can be.
I set out in my backyard a lot too, and especially in the summertime, just because it's like by the time the sun goes over the trees in the backyard, it cools down 15 degrees just because we don't have the humidity like a lot of the southern states have because we're a little in the mountains. But it's just beautiful out there. Even if it's 85 degrees, humidity's only like maybe 45, 50%. And
Yeah.
that's not bad to me at all. But I heard the heat wave was so bad over there that Kent ran out of water.
Yeah.
Is that
Well,
true?
the reservoir reserves got very, very low. So a lot of people were having trouble getting water. And so they were told to use it sparingly. But the thing is, in England, it's ridiculous. I mean, I don't know how places like Las Vegas cope, or places that are literally the desert and have barely a scrap of water. Yet you've got like Caesar's Palace fountains, and we have 2 days of really hot weather, and that's it. No water left. It's all gone. Everything's dried up. You can't. But for the rest of the year, we have continuous rain. So I don't understand how, if we have 2 days of hot weather, where did the water go?
That's
Had it
what
for
I'm wondering.
the year.
Do you
But
not save it up when it does rain? I mean, it seems like,
the thing is, it's a very sore spot really in this country, because the people who run like the water authorities in the area will have their own. Like we have Southern Water down here, or there's Thames Water up in London, and they're the people that supply your tap water.
okay.
They've been fined an awful lot by the government because they don't fix the pipes. Hence, that's where the water goes. Because if the pipes are broken, the water will obviously
Yeah.
escape into the earth. And then also, because they can't be bothered to fix the pipes, they've been dumping a load of sewage into the sea and stuff like that. And then the government fined them for doing all this, which is cheaper than actually fixing the pipes.
Of course.
So, they go, oh, well, can you be sparing with the water, please? Well, how about you fix the pipes?
Yeah. Yeah. Or just
You know,
better. Yeah.
And we pay a fortune for water, actually. I rang up my water board the other day and I said, I live on my own. I said, and I don't have a water meter. Most people have water meters so they can see how much, obviously,
Yeah.
water. But where I live, I haven't got one, so I can get away with murder. I can drain all the water out. It's all mine. You'll never know. And then maybe I could sell it. I could make a fortune. Anyway, that's new business ideas as we speak. But so I did have a word, and that they did that because they just assumed, because I have more than one bedroom, they assumed there were more people living here.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm just on my own. So they've reduced my water bill. So that was very nice the other day, and so they should. Because they give their CEOs and CFOs massive bonuses. I mean, ridiculous amounts of money for doing nothing.
And that's run by the government, right? I mean, this is not private entities. These are government.
Oh no, they're private. They're all like Thames Water, Southern Water, or whatever area you live. But the government have a hold over them.
Okay.
That's why the government can fine them if they are found to be dumping sewage into the sea and stuff like that.
So we have, where I live anyway, because we have the mountains just north of us, we have the water runoff and everybody, and, unless they start building all these data centers, which is another problem for a lot of people. But we have so much water here that our water is pretty cheap compared to some people. I've talked to people in other parts of the country. They're paying $100 a month for the water bill, and I pay $26. And
wow.
Yeah, there's really nothing. And I think Richard pays quite a bit more than I do because he lives up in the mountains in Idaho, and they just don't. I don't know. I don't know what the story is. I'm grateful that we don't have to pay that much. Even our power bill isn't all that much.
No.
But I want to get to that later. the talking about I was thinking about the mismanagement of people's money, how the government does, and that's what I was thinking with the water company. When I had first read that thing about Kent, I thought, well, that was just mismanagement of government, but maybe it's just the government not overseeing the way it should.
Well, they privatized everything basically back in, I don't know, was it Margaret Thatcher? I think she privatized all the companies. So it wasn't controlled so much. Like the railways used to be run by the government, but then they subsidized it to all these other little train companies. It's umbrellaed by the government.
Yeah.
And so the government could take these train companies' contracts away if they fail to deliver targets, etc. And they can be fined by the government as well. But, it's just another thing that the government will, make, will just do nothing about, really.
Yeah.
They just don't. They're all a lot of hot air. We've got enough hot air.
I was a big proponent of privatizing things because it sounds like a good idea on paper, because normally whenever the government runs anything, they run a lemonade stand, they're going to lose money. So
Yeah.
I mean, why not let a private entity that knows how to run a business do these things? And then, it seems like you would save money, but of course you got human beings involved that like to they like to spend money too. So I mean, that run these privatized organizations. So I mean, I guess you're screwed over either way, I guess.
Well, our government is all well and good. Well, it's like any government, I think.
No.
They'll let you know how you should live your life and be frugal. Don't do this, don't do that, and then they're the biggest culprits of doing it.
Oh, of course.
There's one rule and then one rule for us. Our government is a prime example of that right now. I mean, there was a march in London, not last Saturday. I think it was the Saturday before.
Oh yeah, the Unite the Kingdom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Keir Starmer was, we're not going to tolerate a bunch of racists. Diversity is our biggest strength. Oh, shut up, you stupid man. There were little old ladies, there were children, there were families. It wasn't all a bunch of sort of neo-Nazis going, oh.
Yeah.
It was nothing like that at all. In fact, more people are arrested on the March for Palestine marches. Not that I'm for or against it, I'm not saying that, but more people are arrested on those marches than they were with 10,000 people marching. And then the press will go, 5 people turned up for the march. You're like, are you insane? Why are you trying to play it down?
And that's what that's what they do though. It's like they're trying to say there was less people there than, from what I understand from people on the ground there was a lot more than what they estimated. There were like the best estimate I heard on the news was 60,000 people, but supposedly there was a lot more than that. So, I mean,
yeah, all you had to do was watch the footage of the drones and the helicopters going over. The whole of London was awash with people saying,
exactly.
"Want to save the country from the destruction that Keir Starmer." And people are going to go, well, you had the Conservatives for 12 or 13 years before that. They did. And it's just like, yeah, but Keir Starmer is just making it even worse. It's not actually. And all he ever can do is go, I've started children's clubs. Children won't be starving now. Yeah, that's the least of our problems. Do you know what I mean? I mean, yes, it is a problem, but I'm glad that children can be fed because they shouldn't be hungry. But nevertheless, we have got major problems to worry about in the country. And he'll do anything to try and then if you say, we want, the British, this, that, and the other, and they'll go, oh, you're all a bunch of racists. And it's like, well, this is the country.
Yeah, I played that clip. As a matter of fact, it was either last week or the week before. I think it was the week before, where Keir Starmer was, he had the very produced video that he put out, saying that, we're going to keep the racists out. We're not going to put up with hate and all this kind of stuff. It's like, and from our perspective, it's like the way he talks is a lot like some of our politicians. It's like they have the IQ of a sweat sock. It's like, how in the world how are you the leader of a country? I just don't understand. He is really, really dumb though. You can just really see it.
Because he was a human rights lawyer before, and you just think, that's the problem. He was a human rights lawyer, so he's all for everybody else's human rights except ours.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And that has never been knocked out. But however, saying that, he has no charisma. He looks like, there's a song in Chicago called Mr. Cellophane. Do you know it? And it's about so boring and dull that everyone just looks through him, and he's like cellophane. And that's Keir Starmer basically. He's got no personality. Somebody's given him some really bad elocution lessons as well, because he speaks through his nose like that. Not a voice of, yeah, not a voice of a leader. And when he first started in office, I can't remember what he did. He did something that was it seemed to me very weak-willed. And I said to my boyfriend at the time, I said, he's a weak man. I said, just from that gesture, whatever it was, I can't remember, he's a weak man. And then just he turned to me and he went, you're absolutely right. He said, I thought you were just being a bit too judgy, but you're absolutely right. Keir Starmer is a weak man.
Yeah.
I'm like, very good judge of character.
But you know, that's so true though. It's like Trump, Trump, I've got my issues with Trump. I mean, I think everybody's got their issues with Trump, but the one thing you can't say about him is he's weak. I mean, he doesn't put up with any guff, and he's a man's man.
He speaks his mind, and whether you love him or hate him speaking his mind, he's not frightened of upsetting anybody. He doesn't care. I'm going to say, I mean, I'm a bit like that with my stand-up, quite honestly. I don't care if I upset you. Suck it up. It's comedy. But a bit like Trump's speeches, quite honestly. But it's he's like a powerful person regardless of whether you agree with what he says or not. But he has presence,
right,
yeah. And it's all that presence and looking like you're knowing what you're doing. Whereas Keir, I'll just follow anybody else. Trump said about Keir Starmer, he's no Winston Churchill. Couldn't have said it better myself.
Oh yeah, I mean that's apples and oranges. That's not even close. Winston Churchill, and we were talking about Margaret Thatcher, and Margaret Thatcher was more of a man than Keir Starmer. I mean, because she was another one that didn't care what people thought. She just said what she said.
Learning. That's what she said. If anyone said, you should change it, because Keir Starmer's done more U-turns than anything. He'll go, oh, we're going to do this, and everyone goes, no, that's rubbish. Oh no, that was rubbish. We don't do that now. He did loads of U-turns, and then Margaret Thatcher was famous for saying, the lady is not for turning. Admittedly, at the end of her career, she did go a bit crazy. But I think when you're in power for so long, I think the power trip must go to your head after a while. And initially when you are for the people, but then you become evolved in that whole power, money, bribery. And I think that's just whole part of the job description, bribery and corruption and losing your mind to power. And I think it happened to Margaret Thatcher at the end anyway.
I was just saying that the other day, that I think that's as addictive as heroin or alcohol or whatever. It seems like that power, that fame, that wanting to be in the spotlight. Yeah, it's something that I don't have any patience for.
They will ring, what is it, TMZ to just say I'm on the beach, and then they get all the photographers going down there because there's so the attention all the time. I think it's quite addictive.
I would imagine. But it's funny we mentioned Margaret Thatcher. I've got a clip of hers that she was talking about using the government, using other people's money, and how that normally doesn't go well. And it's really, really kind of a neat clip. So here it is.
How much of your money should be spent by the state, and how much you should keep to spend on your family? Let us never forget this fundamental truth. The state has no source of money other than the money people earn themselves. If the state wishes to spend more, it can do so only by borrowing your savings or by taxing you more. And it's no good thinking that someone else will pay. That someone else is you. There is no such thing as public money. There is only taxpayers' money. The prosperity won't come by inventing more and more lavish public expenditure programs. You don't grow richer by ordering another checkbook from the bank. And no nation ever grew more prosperous by taxing its citizens beyond their capacity to pay. We have a duty to make sure that every penny piece we raise in taxation is spent wisely and well. For it is our party which is dedicated to good housekeeping, protecting the taxpayer's purse, protecting the public services. These are our two great tasks, and their demands have to be reconciled.
I wish politicians over there and here both talk like that today. They don't.
100%. I mean, she was very eloquent. She came from about, she had elocutions lessons and everything and the way she spoke, she was great for sound bites, absolutely, for radio and television. But what she's saying there certainly isn't reflected in how politics are now. Do you know what I mean? It's like they go, oh, we haven't got any money for public services or the national health, but you'll just give it to a load of people that have just come off a boat that are going to threaten to rape, kill and rob children. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that's not happening. But it is happening. Yeah. Because they're going, oh, we can't keep supporting everybody on benefits. We'll stop inviting them all in.
And it's been happening over there longer than it has for us. And it's like, I was looking up the debt just earlier, our debt and yours. The UK is inching closer to like 3 trillion pounds right now. It's like 2.9 trillion pounds. Huh?
Statements, if I'm anywhere near getting overdrawn, I'm like, let's sort this out. Obviously, the governments don't do that, do they? Keep spending.
Yeah. And we're doing it here. Do you know in 2008, our country, after being a country for 232 years, got to $10 trillion in debt in 2008. Since 2008, that's been 18 years, we have gained another $30 trillion in debt. So this is not a Republican and Democrat thing. This isn't Labor and conservative. They both are guilty of just spending money like it was no tomorrow. We're up almost $40 trillion in debt.
I think there was a Margaret Thatcher also said there's no such thing as pennies from heaven. There are pennies from work.
Yeah, she said eventually you run out of other people's money. I remember that one too. Yeah.
Yeah, but Keir Starmer they keep managing to find millions and billions to give in foreign aid and here, there and everywhere. And you just think, and like India, we give foreign aid to India, but they've got their own space program. I don't understand why they can't, if they can afford a space program, they don't need foreign aid.
If you're going to send money to them, you should have just kept it when you had them. I mean, that would be my take on it. I mean,
history between England and India. It's the most country I've ever been to. Quite honestly, I love India. It's beautiful. The poverty is horrendous. But I do, I think it's like, I just find it very difficult to. I think maybe we're giving them guilt money.
Yeah,
because what we did back then. I think that's possibly what it is. Yeah. Without saying it's reparations, it's guilt money. Yeah.
Yeah. But you got to wonder, is there going to be an end to all this money? Eventually, there's going to be the money's going to run out. I mean, it reminds me of Nikita Khrushchev said this in 1956, says, we'll take America without fire. And this is good I think for all of the Western world, is that we'll take America without firing a shot. We don't even have to invade the US. We will destroy you from within. And I think, when it comes to the illegal immigration, the climate change fiasco that we're spending. Oh, I got more about that. We do have to take a break because we are running out of time on this daggum Zoom call. So we're going to have to start this over. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about how much money we've actually spent on all these stupid programs. So hang in there. We'll be right back.
This mayor race is really heating up. Who you guys voting for? Haven't decided? Same, haven't really been following it. Same. I'm not MAGA or anything, but the city's kind of gone to shit though, right? Oh yeah, Jessica stepped on a needle at the playground the other day. I'm not MAGA or anything though. I'm not MAGA or anything, but have you been downtown lately? Looks like an episode of The Walking Dead. Not that I'm MAGA or anything, though. Spencer Pratt seems like he has some good ideas. Not that I'm MAGA or anything. He does seem really angry all the time, though. Well, they did burn his house down. Also, apparently he's staying at the Bel Air Hotel, not the trailer on his property. Well, yeah. They burned his house down. Okay, we're all adults here. How about on 3, we just say who we're voting for? 1, 2, 3. Spencer Pratt. Yeah. Spencer Pratt. Can you imagine if our wives knew?
We're all voting for Spencer Pratt, right? Of course. Obviously. I wish I could vote like yesterday.
right, welcome back to Stay Off My Lawn, segment 2, last segment 2, whatever you want to say. Hey, by the way, if you want to get a hold of us, you can always send your love, your death threats, your hate mail to SOML@duck.com, or you can call us at 706-383-9003, and we welcome all the hate and all the love and whatever you want to do for us. Because it rolls off my back. I don't care. Anyway, one way or the other. Life's too short to care. But we were talking before the break that this whole money pit thing for the Western civilization, this whole, I really want to talk about the climate change just for a second, how much money we have spent. Do you know how much money the UK alone has spent?
No, I don't actually, but I don't really want to know because I'll probably faint.
You may not want to know, but in 2023, this is the last year that I found the numbers for it, they spent just in that 1 year, 1.8 billion pounds just on climate change initiatives.
Well, the thing is, why not go after the countries that are the problem, like China, Japan, those people that are constantly just polluting, and me putting a tin in a bag outside my house is going to make all the difference, is it? I mean, obviously every little helps, but the bigger picture isn't our countries.
But the thing is like, climate change is one of those things that, look, the climate is probably always changing. If you
since time began.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, if you want to look at the last big ice age we have, according to most experts, they agree it was like 12,800 years ago. Okay, if it was that long ago, if you say so, I don't know. But if that's the case, it got warmer, and it wasn't because somebody was driving a bus. It may still be getting warmer, and we've gone through phases. I think it was about 150 years ago they were talking about that it was like a mini ice age where the whole planet was and a lot of it has to do with volcano eruptions and where the sun doesn't poke through and and when there's less volcanic activity, maybe it gets warmer. I don't know, but all I know is it's always in flux, right? I mean,
and then the North Pole and the South Pole are the last bits of like the ice age, really. Right. And so that is taking that long. And I'm not saying that, obviously waters will rise if that melts. But when I was a kid and I was at school, I was told there would be no rainforests left by the time I was grown up. And I know they are being destroyed, but there are still rainforests. Do you know what I mean? And so the world is not being destroyed at the rate that they think it is. It is being, but I can look out to sea here, and they've put hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of wind farms out at sea.
Yeah.
So there's the coastline, which is beautiful, but all you see is red flashing lights, so boats don't bump into them, or planes or whatever. And even when we've got the strongest of wind, they're just like that. They don't do anything, and they've ruined the whole country. In Scotland, all you've got in the beautiful, beautiful hills and dales of Scotland is these giant, great big windmills that just don't seem to do anything. And I actually asked a politician, I'm not even going to say who it is because he's quite well known over here, and I said, it's just a waste of money at all these wind farms. And he went, absolutely.
He admitted it. Wow.
Yeah, he said absolutely. And then obviously people watching this will go, well, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Well, who does know what they're talking about? Because you get all these people going like us going, actually, over time, over the centuries, over the millennia, it's been forever changing, but China, Japan, all those countries they're not going to do anything.
No.
And we were actually in our energy bills, we were being taxed even more on top of the energy bills that we were getting for our life because of saving the planet. And the government have stopped that now and said, we're not going to do that, which is, good.
Yeah, in Canada, they call that the carbon tax. And they're just nailing people with all these taxes. But I really think this is the whole Chicken Little thing, the sky is falling, and I think it's just a way to gain power by manipulating the idea that things are getting warmer and it's all our fault. Maybe part of it's our fault. Like you said, the rainforests, I don't think it's necessarily the weather it's killing out the rainforests. They're chopping down all these trees. And
so physically going in with bulldozers and diggers and all that to go and knock it down. So, and also when they've been banging on, all these world leaders banging on about saving the planet, and we put a tin can in a separate bin to the paper. How about stop blowing up other countries?
That might work. Yeah.
Stop blowing up other countries, and that's going to really help save the planet and the human population.
No, I agree.
I'll do the recycling when you stop blowing up other countries. How about that?
Yeah. No, in Middle East, it probably is just a pie in the sky idea, because it seems like they've been doing that since they've invented bombs.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
do what?
It's the Bible, the Middle East kicking off. Do you know what I mean? It's never been stable.
No.
Again, time began, really.
Not at all. Not at all. But it's like I really think that they take the crisis of the day, and they will just kind of like manipulate that to either extract more tax money or to gain more control over people. COVID is a good example. It's like, this was a chest cold for most people. It's a 97 or 98% survival rate. Unless you were really sick to begin with, it might have laid you up for maybe a week or two at the most. I mean, unless you really had other issues going on, it was a chest cold. I mean.
But then, and again, this is the prime example of the hypocrisy of the government, though. It's just like, well, you must all stay at home. You must all be 6 feet apart. You must never go out and see your relatives, even if they're ill. You can't do that. And then they were having parties, and they were going out. They were having a lovely time. And they're going, oh, what we had to do. No, you didn't have to have a cheese and wine party at number 10 Downing Street, did you? While the rest of us couldn't even go to my grandfather's funeral. But you can have a cheese and wine party, not even being 6 feet apart. It's the hypocrisy of these leaders, and it's like, do as I do, don't do as I say. Oh no, sorry, do as I say, don't do as I do.
Same thing. Yeah, I know what you meant. Yeah, but that when George Floyd got when he died during that arrest and everything, I'm sure you heard all about that years ago. But they had a big funeral for him. But there were a lot of people that could not have funerals at the same time period, could not have funerals for their loved ones because of the whole lockdown situation, which the hypocrisy is just, it's insane. It really is insane.
COVID now seems like, why were we so compliant?
I don't know. I hope people have learned their lesson, but it seems like now that they've brought up this whole hantavirus thing and everything, seems like people they're ready to sit back and go, oh, I'm going to stay home. It's like, you stupid. Why are you so stupid?
I mean, you could walk out the front door tomorrow and get hit by a bus. You've got more chance of that than you actually probably get a virus that they're saying is the next big plague epidemic.
Yeah. Well, the thing with COVID too, I mean, that was a lab-grown thing. They finally admitted that was something that came from that Wuhan lab. So, I mean, that was manipulated by mankind to make it more weaponized if they wanted to use it. So, why just stop doing that? Why mess with nature? My God. I mean,
politics and government and people like that, they always want to push the boundaries, and I always say, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Right. But then finding things that aren't broken to fix and make it even worse.
Yeah.
I just think there ought to be some kind of, I don't know, Mensa test for politicians. You have common sense, because at the moment I can see all politicians, part of the job description, do you have common sense? No, the job's yours. Mm-hmm. And it's shocking. It's shocking, the people that are actually in politics, because the ones with any sense don't seem to go into politics.
Oh, no. I think you and I have common sense, and I've got no desire to be in politics whatsoever. But I think that at least half the politicians are there because they know they can make money off of this corrupt system.
Of course. It's never about the people.
Right.
People. I mean, Keir Starmer, when he first became Prime Minister, he was getting loads of freebies, like free glasses and free suits, and he's given a free flat to work in the middle of Soho because he needed peace. Well, Soho in the middle of London, that's the last peaceful place he'll ever go. And so he was giving all these freebies, and then bribed by people, basically. Yeah. We'll give you all this stuff as long as you do what we say. Right. And then they're literally, but Keir Starmer is so corrupt. Every day there's another scandal with him. Like there was the Mandelson scandal with Epstein, and he gave him the job before he was even vetted, and when he's having the job, and then he was vetted and went, he's a security risk, and he went, give him the job anyway, and then he went, oh, I didn't know it was a security risk, and they're like, yeah, but you did, because you did. From two other prime positions for being dodgy.
And that's what makes me wonder whether is it stupidity or is it just evil genius? Because you're rubbing somebody else's back, they're going to rub yours, and your bank account is going to swell to where it overflows. I mean,
all the private schools, boys. Do you know what I mean? They all went to Oxford and Cambridge and things like that, so they're all part of the boys' club.
sure.
Not one single politician, MP, councillor is in it for anybody except themselves. And I would love one politician to prove that I'm wrong.
Oh no, because that would be a futile experience to try to prove that wrong, because it's the same here. That's the thing. It's like it's almost the same in any Western civilization. Now, probably in the first, third world countries, it's probably even worse.
Oh yeah,
the oligarchs they're the only ones with money. At least the rest of us have a fighting chance in these countries. A little bit of one. But the climate change thing was one of those cogs in this machine to just drain money out of the Western Hemisphere. And I really, and this sounds tinfoil hat wearing, conspiratorial, whatever. But I mean, if we've gone from $10 trillion in debt to $40 trillion in debt in 18 years, and part of that, a lot of that is this whole green energy BS that I just don't, it hasn't made a hill of beans a difference.
Well, even Greta Thunberg's given up banging on about it, hasn't she?
Yeah, I haven't seen her in a long time. No, not since she got on that boat to Israel.
Yeah, exactly. She's on the whole Palestine march campaign, crusade, whatever, and so she's given up on climate change. So what does that tell you?
And like you said, the solar panels, the wind turbines, they don't make enough to power a transistor radio. I mean, anyway, Tony Blair. I saw an interview with Tony Blair, and even he said, and I've got my issues with Tony Blair even back when he was in office, but and he's kind of one of those climate believers, which kind of makes me wonder, do you have any common sense, or are you just on the take? But even he said, look, the UK only produces less than 1% of all global emissions. So why are we spending so much money to combat climate change? Even if you got to net zero, this is his words, not mine. Even if you got to net zero, it wouldn't make a hill of beans of difference. None. It would make no difference at all.
But it's bandwagon jumping. It's really bandwagon jumping. It's like, especially as the old expression, America sneezes, Britain catches cold. And it's a thing. It's a fad. And, and they're going, oh, well, have an electric car. Yeah, but where does the batteries come from, electric cars? Children are mining their poor little hands so you can have an energy-saving car. It's just like...
And they stick their head in the sand with all that. You see these videos of these little boys in Nigeria or not Nigeria. What's the name of that? What's that country?
I would say Nairobi, but it's not even there.
Congo, yeah. I think it is.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's like they're 12 years old and they're digging up this cobalt mines. Like, oh my gosh! But they don't care. They want you to buy. Man, Ford and I think it's Chevrolet has lost billions of dollars by producing these electric cars nobody wants to buy.
No, in Brighton, they're putting up the electric points everywhere. Okay. No one's got an electric car, but you can't park your car because it's for an electric car now. But there are no electric cars, so these parking spaces are going sort of to waste. Yep. And secondly, they said, our government said, well, get an electric car. We won't tax you because you're going to be saving the planet. You're going to be doing your bit. Buy an electric car. You won't get road taxed. Suddenly, oh no, we're going to have to tax you now. Sorry, I've got an electric car, but we're going to charge you however much it is per mile.
They didn't think that one through very well. When they were taxing the petrol, it's like they were able to get it from you because you didn't have a choice. But when you have an electric car, well, we're going to charge you. They got to get it from you somehow. They can't just let you off the hook.
Yeah, so we're going, what? That wasn't the deal. We've got an electric now. What? Okay.
While we're spending money hand over fist, it's like, and you mentioned last segment, China is building coal plants. I believe it's still on the pace of 2 a week.
Right.
I mean, yeah, they're building because they're doing the whole AI thing, and these data centers. I went to a seminar, it was about 3 months ago, that they were talking about these data centers because they're looking at building a bunch of them around me. And they said that a lot of these data centers, the bigger ones, are building their own small nuclear facility next to it, about the size of a truck, but like a tractor trailer, that would power those plants so it didn't draw on the local economy.
Yeah.
But they still use a lot of water. They still use a lot of other resources that, you know, small communities like I live in, we need those resources. If we run out of water, I mean, I don't know. It's just you can almost see the implosion starting, you know. And
It's when there's evidence, when they prove to me that we can be off the grid by using cooking oil.
Yeah.
I mean, then I'll be like, oh, well, God, my mistake. I mean, we have had some buses going around town here that were using like kitchen oil that they could use, but they've gone. You don't see them called lemon buses, but I haven't seen them anymore.
Yeah.
So that was a fad.
There was something I read a while ago, and I think it was back in the 60s. A guy had invented an engine that produced used hydrogen gas, which is extremely abundant. But it was a hydrogen engine, and he ended up dying in mysterious circumstances, and all of his plans disappeared.
Oh, I heard about this. Yeah.
Is that just crazy? I mean, and maybe that's another conspiracy thing. Like I said, I try to be positive about things, but at the same time, I'm very much a realist. I hope for the best, but I expect the worst. And it's just, I think we're kind of going down that road. You mentioned Keir Starmer. Do you think he's going to resign?
Well, every day we wake up and go, has he gone yet? And he's hanging on in there. He's like, no, you can't kick me out. And he's just brought in this act over here called the renters' rights. So people who rent, like myself, they can't just throw you out like they used to and go, oh, my cousin's moving in, I want you to move out. They can only have, if they're selling the property now, or they're going to, you know, it's dangerous and they have to rebuild or whatever, those sort of things. So it's very, very difficult to get people out of a property now. If you
don't pay your rent, it doesn't matter?
Oh, no, I mean, no. I mean, obviously, if you don't pay your rent, but they can't just, if you're a good tenant.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
They have to have a reason to kick you out now, selling the property. It can't be just like, oh, I want my mum to move in, you've got to go kind of thing.
I gotcha.
So they've made it more difficult for people who rent properties to kick their tenants out if they're good tenants. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And I think that's what Keir Starmer's doing. He's like, no, I've got squatters' rights now. You can't kick me out. I brought in this new law.
You do one good thing and 100 bad things. It doesn't even out. Yeah.
I think he's going to be he's holding on to that renters' sort of rights thing. Going, you can't kick me out either. Now I've made this law. You can't kick me out.
One good thing. But you know, it seems like the whole Labour Party has kind of lost a lot of their power. I think there was like 1,000 local regional seats in all of the UK, but kind of like the Labour got voted out and a more conservative person got voted in.
I don't know if you heard about this, right? But there were going to be local elections. We didn't have them in Brighton because we're having ours next year or whatever. So not everybody has it at the same time. Right. But a lot of the places around the country were having local elections. Keir Starmer, earlier on last year, said we're not having all the local elections are going to be cancelled because he knew that he would be out on his ear, or they would lose a ton of seats. So he went, no, we're not having any local elections, which is totally illegal. And then Nigel Farage came along, took it to court, and said what he's doing is illegal. He cannot stop people voting. Yeah. The people are happy, and he's only doing it because nobody wants him as, you know, wants the Labour Party to lose seats. Yeah. And the courts went, yeah, you're right. You can't stop people voting. So we suddenly were, oh, yay, we can vote now. And that's when everyone started voting mainly a lot of reform. Yeah. Seats suddenly were won.
Well, it seems like Nigel's got some good things to say. It seems like he's been gaining a lot of followers. What's your opinion of him? You have...
Do you know, I mean, this is the problem. Who do you trust? Because the thing is, whenever anybody wants to be prime minister, they're full of it, aren't they? I promise you this and I promise you that, and the people will have this and you're going to get that. And then, oh, great, let's vote for them then. And then they go, oh, can't do it now. Sorry, can't do any of it. Can't do any of it. But what I'm going to do is ruin your life.
Oh, I know.
And that's basically. So who do you trust? I mean, I Kemi Burdock, is that her name, isn't it? She's the Conservative leader. I like her actually because she can put Keir Starmer in his place. I mean, if you watch any of the House of Commons footage,
Very smart. Yeah.
all smart. She's very sharp, and she cuts like a knife.
Yeah.
She's very smart, but I don't trust any of them. So if and when I have local elections, I think what I'll do, because you can't waste your vote. I don't believe in just going, well, I'm not voting, because then you can't really have a say. So I would vote for an independent, just because they're not going to win, but you're not losing your vote and you're not giving it to one of the other losers.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah. But she reminds me of, I don't know if you're familiar with a guy up in Canada, Pierre Polyev. I don't know if you've seen any of his videos, but he's very biting and very like cuts you like a knife, and smile while they do it. It's like it's just, I like that kind of attitude. But you're right. No matter what party they belong to, they make all these big promises that they could never follow up with. I mean, we got a guy running for Congress locally that now it seems everything he says I agree with, but at the same time, or most everything he says, what he says on TV, of course. But we got a big thing right now where congresspeople, since they're privy to information with government contracts, with different things, they invest in the stock market before the stock goes up after these contracts become public. So they make millions of dollars on the side.
Wow.
So, I mean, that's insider trading is what most people...
What's her name went to prison for, wasn't it? The cooking woman.
Bernie Madoff?
No, the woman that did the cooking shows.
Yeah, she lived right down the road from us. Can't think of her name.
You know who I mean, don't you?
I know exactly who you mean. Yeah.
She's still teaching you how to fold napkins, and she's done time for insider trading.
Martha Stewart.
The thing is, she wasn't that's win by, but she wasn't working for the Parliament or government or whatever. That she was just being dodgy.
Well, this guy has gone on. He goes on his TV commercials and he says, "I'll ban Congress from trading stocks." Well, I'm all for that. But look, if you're just a congressman, you're one in 535 people in this body. You can't ban anything. You might have a vote to ban something, but you can't. I mean, it seems like they play to the low IQ voters because people who don't know any better or don't understand how government works. Well, I'm gonna get their vote because, I'm making a promise that I couldn't possibly fulfill, but they might believe me.
Well, that's the thing about dumbing down the public is quite, when we had our local elections just recently, Keir Starmer came out, we must listen to the people. Well, you could have done that before, do you know what I mean? And then what they try and do is try and make themselves trendy and irrelevant. And the education minister, I can't remember what her name is, but anyway, they thought it'd be great to collab with a reality TV star. She hasn't got any kids, and this is about education and kids in school and making sure they get a further education and come out with some kind of career.
But what do they know?
Exactly. She's the size of a small country. Which wrong with that, but she's somebody ate all the cakes and can barely speak a sentence. She's like, all right, yeah, she's typical like I landed at Essex, I'm Essex, and I can hardly string a sentence together. And you're like, how does this correlate with education? And she's like, she lied blatantly, and she went, no, I couldn't do maths because it scared me and I was really intimidated when I was doing maths at school. She got the only exam she came out of school was a maths ungraded. And she said, but then if you look in her biography or anything online, she said when she went into that exam to do her maths exam, she went, I don't need this, I'm going to become famous. So what was the education secretary collabing with her when she's the last role model on earth that has even had an education, unless she was being used an example of why you should get an education. I don't know, but it was tragic, and everybody went in meltdown in this country, going, "Why is she being used?" There are billions of people in this country, or millions, that would be perfect examples for role models for children in the education system, rather than a girl that can barely speak the English language, yet she's from England and barely she has got no, and all she is famous for being on a reality TV show. But then you've got Spencer, what's his name, haven't you, running
It's
for
a Pratt, yeah. But he's actually, I mean, and maybe it's the actor in him because he's got that background. I don't know. But he's saying all the right things. He's got a lot of followers out there in LA, and it looks like he's, according to polling, which polling is almost always wrong, but according to polling, he is just beating the soup out of anybody else that's running out there. So I think there's two ladies that are running against him. One is the incumbent, and she was just a disaster over their wildfires and the whole thing. But he's killing it.
So he lost his house. So he's like really, yeah. And it was surprising because I never thought those two would last when they were doing whatever it was, that reality TV show years ago, and then they had their own reality TV. I thought that marriage will never last, and that they have been proved wrong there, haven't I?
Yeah.
Spencer's wife, whatever her name is, I can't remember, but that show business.
I don't watch any reality TV. I just know about him just because he's running for mayor. To be honest, I've done a little bit of research on him, but I don't watch all that stuff, so I don't know. But he really is a genius when it comes to marketing. So I mean,
he's networking the television public, isn't he, because of his reality background? But I think he seems to have matured and grown up an awful lot from what I've seen. I mean, I'm not really like following it word for word everything he's doing, but to be a big boy now.
He seems like it. I mean, like I said, I didn't know him from when he was younger, but he seems like he's got all the right talking points. Now, whether he'll do anything when he gets in there, I have no idea. It's LA. It's got nothing to do with me anyway. But it's interesting to watch from afar. But
yeah,
so we'll have to wait. Do what?
It's interesting times.
It really is. Really is. I saw that you were on GB News last week. What was that all about?
I was on GB. Well, Michael O'Leary had decided. Well, he didn't decide. It happens every year. They have this conversation every year. It's like a news rolling thing. It comes back every summertime. And Michael O'Leary says that drinking in airports should be restricted to 2 drinks because the amount of air rage that's occurring, that's disturbing flights, making maydays, fights in airports, whatever, is down to drinking, which I kind of agree with him, because I think about the situations that I've been in the past where I've been strangled, and that's when I was cabin crew, not just as a passenger. I wasn't that, but I was crew. And it is always drink related, and it's a very British thing, unfortunately. I mean, I've lived all over the world, America, Switzerland, England, wherever, and it's a very British culture. Like, oh, I'm in the airport at 4 o'clock in the morning, let's have a beer. 4 o'clock in the morning, what's wrong with you? What's wrong? No, I'm on holiday. So I was on GB News discussing, they were like, and I was horrified because I'd done a lot of interviews with the BBC that week about the same subject. And it was very, like, we're discussing stuff and having a grown-up conversation, and it was very two-way. You think this, I think that. But GB News, I just go on there. I don't know which presenter it was. I can't remember. I know Nana, and then there was another bloke. And he's going, "You're not going to stop me having a drink at 6 o'clock in the morning." And I'm like, "You're the presenter. I'm used to the BBC. What's going on?" And he's going, "You're not going to stop me having a drink at 6 o'clock. And I'm like, "What is wrong with you? What? I'm on holiday in the airport." I said, "No, you're not on holiday in the airport. Actually, you're on holiday when you get to your destination.
Exactly.
Knock yourself out, have as many drinks as you want, but do not be a liability on an airplane or in a terminal at an airport and ruin somebody else's holiday because you can't control what you put down your throat." Having a rant again, listen to me. But that's how I was. And then they cut me off because I said to him, I said, "Well, if you're going to have that kind of attitude, we'll put you on a no-fly list then."
Oh,
and then cut me off.
Well, that'll teach you.
Oh, I was horrified. I'm horrified. I'm thinking, do you want people to behave like animals? And as I said on the television program, it's the minority. I'm not saying everybody that goes to an airport acts like a drunken fool. It's the minority. It's always the minority that spoil it for everybody else. That means you can't have nice things because these fools can't behave nicely. So the rest of us can't have nice things or have a drink because of these people.
And it's always the people who get drunk. You know, we've all known people that when they get drunk, they either get angry or they get loud or they get, you know, some people get quiet and some people, you know, but it's always the angry ones that get on the stinking airplane that, you know, and obviously you've seen this too. But I looked this up because we were talking about it through the messaging earlier. And it's like being drunk on an airplane in the UK is you can get a fine of up to £5,000 and up to 2 years in jail.
Well, on GB News, they said, this is exactly what they said. They opened with, why aren't there any consequences for people behaving like this, Charmaine? And I said, well, there are. I said, but you don't choose to report that, do you? I said, all you want to report is there's a drama at 38,000 feet and the RAF have been scrambled potentially for terrorists, but it's just some drunk bloke, which is what a situation I had. Sure. I said, but you don't report that they've been sent to prison, they've been put on a no-fly list or they've been fined. I said, because that's not headline news. If it was a celebrity that had caused the drama and then had to go to court, it would be all over the front page. But because it's Bob Smith that got drunk, punched an air hostess, it's going to be on a tiny little paragraph on page 7. Oh. You know, nobody sees, so nobody knows the consequences. And I said to the presenter, it's your fault. Because you don't actually say what happens to these people once they've caused this drama.
Well, you know, they cherry pick the news so much. It's only the sensationalized thing that they want to talk about. Like you said, if it's a celebrity, if it's Joe Schmo, they don't care. It just doesn't matter. And the poor air stewardess or whatever, they gets punched in the face. I mean, she still has a broken nose or whatever happens. I mean,
I've been strangled. I've been punched. We had to day because of rioting passengers, and it was all through alcohol, you know, when I was cabin crew. And then, you know, the papers will, I mean, some of the ones I were in, like, made, in fact, one of the stories that I was in knocked Tony Blair off the front page.
Really?
I was expecting a bouquet of flowers from him to go, but so it was they don't care, and I'm not, I say it to a lot of journalists when I do the BBC or ITV, they go, well, why do you think this is a problem? Well, it's your fault because you don't report the consequences. And then people think they can act like animals and punch cabin crew and ruin everybody else's flight because they can't stop drinking.
Yeah. I've never been much of a drinker, so I can't, I'm too far removed from it to understand. But, you know, and they were talking about in an article I was reading just before we got on the air. It was, they were saying that it's too much big brother-ish for them to say, no more alcohol being served in airports. And there are some places where it's like a 2-drink limit and the whole thing, but it's like, look, if the big brother has to limit your amount of alcohol that you can buy in an airport, then so be it. If it keeps people from getting airplanes having to be turned around, if some of these are long flights that get turned around and have to come back when
hundreds of thousands of pounds, and then the next flight's delayed and the next flight's delayed, and it causes a whole backlog. And the thing is, people go, well, we can drink on an airplane now, can't you? You can buy a drink on an airplane and get no. Well, actually, we will stop you drinking if we think you've had too many. We can say, oh, sorry, the bar's closed now. We haven't, we've had to shut the bar because it's turbulent. Or give them a million excuses. We don't have to say it's because you're drunk, because obviously that antagonizes people. But oh, sorry, we can't serve any drinks at the mouth. We're just doing a bar count or whatever. We're coming into whatever. We can always stop them drinking. But by the time they've got on the airplane and they're drunk, it's too late.
Yeah.
So it's the responsibility of the ground staff to keep an eye. I think possibly the only way to do it is breathalyzing. Yeah, and if you're over a certain, like driving, if you're over a certain limit, you can't fly.
Yeah. I know that reminds me that here in the U.S. they've been talking about having like some AI generated facial recognition, to where if the AI within your car believes you're impaired, it won't let you start the car. And it's like, what if you're just tired? Or what if you're just having a bad day? What if your dog just died and you're just sad? I mean,
They can, but they have similar things for that when with drink drivers, though, don't they? With cars, I don't. They do, I don't know if they did that in America, in England, but I know in America
Yeah,
you
they
can't.
have a breathalyzer that's hooked up to your car,
Yeah,
but that's court ordered. They're selling these cars brand new, supposedly, in the future.
I see Elon Musk and his weirdness for you.
I know, and I like Elon, a lot of things he does, but there are some things I'm like going, dude, you gotta tone down the autism a little bit. Yeah, I mean, because
I was watching him the other day, and I'm not convinced he's got autism. I swear he's a robot. I think he is a robot. He gets, oh, all the androids and that will be taking over the world. He is one. He's
yeah,
the first prototype. He's robots.
I could see that. I could see that. Oh my gosh, it has been a pleasure. We are coming up on the end of the show. If people want to, you still do stand up, right? Are you still doing?
Still, I'm a bit more popular on social media now, so I can just stay in my bedroom and make videos like a teenager.
Well, how do people find you on social media?
You can find me on Instagram, and it's at be anything or hang on, yeah, at be anything 25. A lot of people think it's at Beanie Thing 25, but it's at Be Anything 25. Or you can find me on Facebook. I've had to change my name. I don't know if you've noticed the name
I
change.
saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to be like that forever. But because I've got so many followers now. I know it sounds really pretentious. I've got so many followers. I've got over
You're
222,000.
so popular.
It's gone a bit mad on it. Only about 3 months ago, I had 7,000 followers, and then as from today, I've got 222,000,
Wow.
which has gone up. My Instagram just blew up, which I'm not complaining about, and I'm grateful for anyone that follows me, and I get lovely comments, and it's fabulous. But that's Instagram. Facebook is Charmaine Davies now. But I've had to change it for the blue dick, so that's Denis, Charmaine Denis, but it will be Charmaine Davies very soon.
Right. And YouTube too, right? You have you.
Yes, I don't know what I am on YouTube, but just look for Charlie. I think I'm Charlie.
I'd have to look it up. I don't know. Let me see if I can.
But I don't know who I am anymore. I don't know. But the main one is Instagram, and that's Be Anything 25.
Yeah.
Charlie, yeah, or Charmaine Davies.
You need a website where it sends everybody there.
Yes.
Where you need to be. Let me see here. Yeah, you're Charmy.
Charmy on YouTube, yeah.
Yep.
CharmieCharme. CharMie.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't even know how to spell my name anymore. It's not in my brain.
But if you're in the UK and you want to hire her for you do private things, right? At private parties and
Wrong, isn't it? That sounds very wrong.
does sound wrong. I'm sorry. That didn't come out correct.
I will post any shows that I'm doing on social media. But yeah, you can message me if you want me to come and do stand up. Nothing.
All right. I'm so embarrassed.
Me that much, do you know what I mean? Bow chicka bow wow.
Okay. Do whatever for money. So anyway.
Private dancer.
Well, hey, we hope you were somewhat informed and had fun like we did. Don't forget, you can find us on iTunes, Spotify, iHeart, Amazon Smart Speaker, Rumble, or wherever you find podcasts. And you can go to our website, which is stayoffmylawn.us, and find all of our past and present episodes. So we'll see you next week. Bye, Charmaine.
Bye.